Of the Community Preservation Committee in order on June 9th, 2021. And we are being recorded for future broadcasts by our local cable television access station, MCAM. And I will do a roll call of the members present. Josephine Ruthwitz.
Present.
Jack Healy.
I'm here.
Laureen Garrier.
Present.
And Marie Jacobson.
Present.
And I'm Kimberly French, also present. And I think we might have a couple of the members join us in the coming moments anyway. And our recording secretary, Delaney Robinson, is with us too. And also welcome to our guest, Erin Rowe. It's great to see you. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Sure. So we, I think, are going to defer approval of the meetings one more time. So we will, in the next meeting, can approve both March 10th, which that was our public hearing, which are a little longer minutes and have a lot more data in them, and as well as the April minutes, which I think Delaney is almost finished with. So we'll do those if that's agreeable to everyone. We can just hold off on those. Okay. I don't think we need to vote, just if nobody objects. So we'll start right away with our interview for our applicant for a vacant at-large position. And Erin, thank you for your letter of interest, which I just printed out. And sure, why don't you just tell us verbally a little bit about yourself and your interest in the Community Preservation Committee?
Sure. Well, hello, everyone. I'm Erin McGee-Rowe. I have lived here in Middleborough for about 5 years now. I have 2 small children. They are 9 and 5, and my husband is a public school teacher. Professionally, I am the director of a historical society here on the South Shore. And actually, the historical society that I run has a dual mission of historic preservation and land conservancy. So we also manage more than 150 acres of land in the town that we're in. So it's kind of an interesting hybrid model that doesn't exist in a lot of organizations, but does sort of give me sort of a unique perspective on CPC concerns. And I've certainly been on the other side of the table plenty of times asking for grant money. This is my first time looking to join a town committee. I'm really excited not only to get to know all of you, but to get to know the town better as well. And yeah, I think that, you know, not only, I hope that I could bring something to the table in terms of, you know, opinions and expertise, but I also really look forward to learning a great deal as well.
Thank you. So do members of the committee have questions they would like to ask, or comments or conversation they would like to have?
Thanks for your interest, Erin.
Yeah, Jack Healy, go ahead.
Can you tell me what community you're serving? Or
Sure. I'm the director of the Duxbury Rural and Historical Society.
Oh, okay, great. That's very good. All right. Well, thank you very much for your interest and concern and willingness to serve. And I, for one, would love to welcome you on board.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I have a question, just
Emily, go ahead.
just because of your job. Would there be any problem with a conflict of interest? But you're all Duxbury, right?
Yeah, that's a good question. In fact, I was thinking about it myself on the way home. There are no direct conflicts. We're so Duxbury centered that we serve, like, audience-wise, a much wider audience. All of you are welcome to come to any program that we run. But in terms of, you know, grant funding or fundraising or things where it could become an ethical concern, it does tend to be very Duxbury centric. So I think probably the big plus is a lot of, you know, I'm familiar with a lot of the organizations in town and even some of the ones that operate here in town, and where, you know, I think where there might be a little bit of a question might be, like, for instance, I have a professional partnership with the Wildlands Trust, and I know that they operate here in town too, but, you know, it's kind of hard to see where there would be an ethical concern there. And of course, I'm happy to recuse at any point if I have to.
Mm-hmm. I think it would be great to have your expertise on board with us. It sounds like a good fit.
Thank you.
Piggybacking on that question, I just want to, because I was thinking about that too. I mean, I was trying to think of a hypothetical, like, could there, maybe it wouldn't be an actual conflict of interest, but I'm just wondering of a situation where your organization might be, say, competing for funding that one of our applicants was also competing for. And I wonder if that would feel awkward, or, I mean, I think it'd be an actual
It
conflict.
wouldn't be
But
an ethical,
no, but
no.
yeah.
You know, I would hope that as we go forward, there could be an open conversation if there were any concerns. I work in a town in which, you know, there are a lot of people involved in a lot of different things. And, you know, somehow we all get along. You know, I think full transparency is the important thing in all of this. And if there was if we were in a position in which I was professionally in direct competition with something, I would certainly let you all know. But where the two towns, you know, are some distance away, and it's hard to see where that would probably come into play.
Okay, Laureen, you had a question.
Yeah, it's a two-part one. Where did you grow up?
That's a complicated question. I was born and raised in Virginia, but my mother has lived here in Massachusetts for about 35 years at this point. So,
And the other half of it is, where do you live in town?
I live in the Tanglewood subdivision off of Plymouth Street.
Okay. Yeah, it's a very, very nice subdivision.
We enjoy it. It's a good neighborhood.
Rock at the beginning of it or something like that. Something's going tricky in mind. Well, welcome to town and welcome to the committee.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Any other questions? I have one other one. Just you said you've been on the other side of the table. Just wondering, have you ever had the chance to fill out a CPA application in Duxbury?
Oh, we go regularly to the CPA in Duxbury. Yeah. I actually had to add it up last year, something in the vicinity of about $300,000 from CPC in recent years. In fact, I just finished a large preservation project on one of our historic house museums that was all CPC funded, or partially CPC. It was Mass Cultural Council and CPC jointly. So, you know, I'm very familiar with a lot of the guidelines. I'm very familiar with the type of projects that get funded. I'm familiar with the ones that can be problematic. You know, certainly have presented at town meeting for those types of projects. So I'm familiar with the process, although maybe from the other side of the table.
Okay.
Yep.
Sounds like you've got better qualifications than we do. So that's great.
Yeah, that's great. Anything else anybody would like to ask? Okay, so well, thank you so much for joining us and having this small interview. So I realized before, I mean, Erin had asked me, should she stay? Or should she go out? I mean, it's a Zoom meeting. It's also an open meeting. You're most welcome to stay. I found myself going back to and actually asked Stuart and consulted with some of our original members who had been around with the bylaws. And we are to, I guess our practice has been to make a recommendation and then have the joint meeting with the select board. But the select board actually does have, I think the bylaws do say they can interview also if they want, and we do a joint meeting with them. We also have two other seats. We were realizing as we were straightening it out, when do the terms expire? There was a lot of confusion about that, and that we have two other seats that are expiring at the end of this month. So I'm just wondering if we should, this is a very slow time for us. We don't really start up till September 1st when that's when our grant applications are due. And I'm just wondering if we should maybe take another meeting and also ask that all of the seats that are up for renewal or up for the terms are ending, to actually do it, to write a letter of it also, and I mean just to go through that and do it all as one thing. And I'm just wondering what the committee feels about that. Would you like to make a recommendation?
What are the others?
So we have, Joe Ruthwitz has also put in an application to move to an at-large seat. And then I think, I mean, I need to go back, but I mean, so the other two at-large seats are the ones that Anne Marie and Mark also are a part of right now. And that hold right now are the two other seats that will be expiring at the end of June. So we have 3 seats. And so,
And then,
I have to say my opinion. I think people that are on the committee shouldn't have to reapply. They've done their work. They've done their due diligence by being here and working hard.
so sorry, Lorraine, I couldn't hear you.
I said, I don't think people that are on the committee now should have to reapply
Okay,
for their positions. They've done their,
we know them. Okay,
yeah, we know them, and they've
Yep.
certainly put in work towards the committee. And it almost feels like, well, you did good, but maybe we'll take somebody else now, you know?
okay. So any other, is that, any, I'm just a little unsure of the best way to proceed. I'm sort of feeling like we should maybe take one more meeting to just discuss further. What do you think?
Are you going to advertise again, or
Oh, I'm not sure if I don't think we're required to do that now.
you think, Joe? Okay, no.
Yeah.
the selectmen
think-
do
I don't think
the
they-
advertising for the position, the open seat, and they did it. So they will listen to, what we usually have done in the past is submit the people that we interviewed, and then we schedule a meeting with them. And it is a joint vote with the statutory members and the Board of Selectmen. But the selectmen have to pick the meeting date.
If both you and Aaron come on the committee, do we still have one more empty seat?
We, Anne Marie and Mark are up for reappointment. Their term expires the end of this month. And I believe both of them have said they're interested in staying on.
Mhm.
And then it's you, Jack, Nancy, and Judy are statutory members that have to be reappointed by your commissions, and you need to get sworn in by the end of this month also. So essentially, there's seven terms expiring this month. How does that happen? Oh,
Oh.
because like the Historic Commission, and planning, they just didn't put an expiration date. That's what it was in talking to the town clerk. So that's why there were so many. So technically, it's myself and Kimberly. Our terms are still valid. Whoops, Nancy's here. I'm not paying attention.
Like the-
And that's it. So that we really need to have more members before we can go to the selectmen, because we don't technically have a quorum for statutory members.
So you mean, what you mean is more members who are now expired,
They're
terms are
not
expiring,
expired
and
yet, but
we don't have time to arrange a date with the select board.
yes. So
So, We need people to
Maureen, I
get
don't
sworn
know
in.
when historic meets, if they've met already this month. So, your next meeting, Jack's next meeting, Nancy's and Judy's, I don't know when they are. And then we'll have to get that letter, or we can just go and tell the selectmen we want to meet with them with the present statutory members.
Madam Chair,
Yes, go ahead, Jack.
yeah, my reappointment vote by the planning board is on the next week's meeting,
Okay, that's great.
so that should be timely.
Yeah.
All
We
right.
don't have another meeting scheduled until we have a demolition permit due, so we'll have to do an online vote.
You mean the Historic Commission?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think the question is, do we want to make a recommendation on just this one vacant seat now, or do we want to have that discussion at a future meeting and go through all of these reappointments and swearing in and do it at our next meeting.
Will we be able to to address all of the issues at that point?
Well, some of it are things that you folks on statutory commissions will need to work out with your commissions. So if that's
Yeah.
all done, yes, we should be able to do it.
Okay.
Yes.
But
So
no
if
matter what,
if that's done, if everybody's settled in terms of their membership, right?
we,
Then we could take a vote at the next meeting.
but if we have a meeting in July, Mark and Anne Marie will not be members because their term expires June 30th.
Ah, right. Okay.
And then we'll have Ted's vacancy.
So you're feeling we should do it now?
I'm just one person on the committee.
I agree with you.
Okay.
I
Okay.
mean, let's do it. So we continue to have a quorum anyway.
Okay. All right. Fine. So let's. So
I move to appoint Erin Rowe.
I haven't been interviewed yet.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, let me. So let us interview our other candidate. So Joe Ruthwitz has also submitted an application for the at-large seat. So
What are your qualifications, Joe?
why don't you do the same? Why don't you just tell
Okay.
us, for the purpose of
So-
open meeting, a little about yourself and your interests. So in CPC.
I'm a lifelong resident of Middleborough. In 2002, I was with the first group that tried to get CPA into Middleborough, and I was on all 3 committees until it was finally passed in 2010. And I am one of the original members on the CPC. I am the Housing Authority appointee, so I'm a statutory member, but I will be retiring next year. So as Ted's seat became available, I am interested in continuing on the committee. I know there's only one vacancy, and Erin does seem very qualified, but I really do want to stay on. Let's see, I am also the secretary of the community preservation, and I do have all the files here. And I've been working with the town clerk a lot in the last couple of weeks to figure out the terms, and that's why we found all these different discrepancies in the terms expiration dates.
So how can we go about retaining your membership and services and also encourage Erin to?
Well, why don't we go first to just ask if anyone has any other questions for Joe that are related to.
I just asked the question.
Okay, well, okay. I think that's more of a committee process, but I mean, I don't know if it's a question for Joe.
I do think she's very qualified.
Are you really sure you're ready to retire?
Come on. I told my husband I would retire by the time I'm 70, so too close right now. I am not going to work full time until I die. But I do still want to be part of community preservation, so I'll still be here.
All right.
Any other questions for Joe?
Thank you for all you've done. I mean, everything, we always have facts and figures exactly when we need them. So you certainly know everything that's going by.
I didn't realize we had a problem in terms of the number of positions here.
That was the question I was trying to ask, is how many open positions do we have for these 2 ladies or any other ones that had applied? So there's only 1 position available.
Technically, there's only one.
How
Right.
do you change that?
Yes.
What was-
How do you change that?
You can't. So the law is there's 5 statutory members. And so I would resign from the housing authority, and the housing authority would have to appoint another member from their board. And I would, if I was appointed, I would be basically taking Ted's position.
But how does it, I mean, things change over time on all sorts of committees and all sorts of things. So what is the procedure by which you can add a member to an existing committee? Is it a town manager or is it go to town meeting?
No, it's a state law.
Is it?
So we can only have
That
so
limits the
many.
number
It's not
of
the-
people on the committee?
It's not our bylaw?
No, no, it's not. It's state law.
Yeah,
Who is,
I'm just looking it up. Yes, that's correct. CPA statute requires 5 members by local boards and remaining 4 at large. Yep.
Well, that's what the requires, but that sounds to me like a minimum. That doesn't sound like a maximum. That sounds like at a minimum, you need this. At a maximum, you could do it. I can't imagine it limits the upside. I'm just thinking it's a question for the town council. It just
Yeah.
sounds to me like a,
Or Stuart. I'm sure.
Yeah. That's an interesting question. Yeah.
And then also, I wasn't thinking that there was only I didn't understand Joe's whole situation. So I do think that we should look at all the at-large member seats. You know, I don't think Mark and I should just be able to continue when there's very qualified candidates. I think that everything needs to be looked at.
So what are we gonna
but
take?
I
take
sort
another
of agree
month to
with
think about it?
Laureen that, and I think it was Stuart that said that it takes about 2 years to get up to speed with what your community is doing, what the projects are, what the rules and
That is
regulations.
true, because it's 2 years and I'm still learning.
Yeah,
And I
so
have you, Mark, and
if you're a present member, I think in most cases, unless it's an elected, that you just have to say, I am still interested in the position. I
Yeah,
mean, it's something we can check with the town, but I think that's usually just what it is. It's a volunteer board, and if you want to continue, I think you can. I mean, there
Like
are certain
Nancy's idea.
restrictions in that if you don't attend so many meetings, I think it's 3
3 in a
meetings.
consecutive. Yeah.
Yeah, then you can be told to leave.
Mhm.
But if you're participating, I think you just have to give a letter that you're interested in staying on.
Okay.
I did put that question to Stuart just this week and when I realized some of these issues, and he said he wasn't able to advise us on that one, which is right. So I think it has more to do with whether we need to have you reapply. So, and yeah. So, but it sounds like it is the pleasure of the committee to make a decision tonight on the one seat, the open seat, which is it's an at-large seat that expires next June 2022.
And I would rather you got information from Stuart, whether we could have one more member.
or town council?
Yeah,
Because
Okay.
I just think we benefit, particularly in an environment where we've lost that. Sorry, I didn't join late, so I feel
That's
bad. I'm
okay.
taking up
No,
your time.
no, go
But
right ahead.
If we're losing Jen in terms of the consulting ability, I feel like the more knowledge, the better on the committee for my minimal contribution. So I feel like the more the better if people have that knowledge. So I'd rather pursue finding out if we could do that.
I don't think we should go for 1. I think we should go for 2 if we're going to be asking
Number, yeah.
that question, so we have an odd number.
yeah. But really, it's never a good idea to turn away qualified volunteers.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Not.
So
So,
can we postpone it till another meeting?
and I think that the issue with that is that, yes, I mean, with that question in mind, you mean?
Yeah.
With the question of whether we could add members. Okay. Okay. But we want to make, but we're at the, because of our expiration dates being a little haphazard, we're at risk of losing a quorum, right? If we're not, but
Oh, and I didn't jump.
what I think what you're proposing is we'll go ahead and go have the reapplication of the 2 at-large seats and go ahead and do that, and then explore the possibility of adding one or probably two members to the committee. Is that what you're asking?
And is that going to be Kimberly's action item?
I guess it will be. Okay, I can check on that.
And just in terms of your question, I didn't jump in. The Conservation Commission meets next Thursday, so that can take care of that.
Okay. Okay. So is it, I don't know if we need to make a vote on this, but the consensus of the committee, we would like to defer this. Do you want to make a motion and until we can answer that question?
I have another question too.
Sure.
Do we want to, just so this doesn't happen again, where there's so many positions that the term is up, like, do we want to do, you know, a 1-term or a 3-term, like do different?
It's
term, so
always 3-year term, except the planning board will only do 1-year term.
Okay.
And the historic and conservation didn't put an expiration date,
Mhm.
so they technically should not be expiring, but I didn't realize that when they fill out that form for the town clerk, I don't ever see that. So when I had it in my records and I told Allison that, no, these people don't, their term doesn't expire this year, she showed me the form, and because it was left blank, there's no expiration date, but they technically expire now. You have to get an end date. That's the only reason why.
So are all the at-large positions except for one expiring at the same time?
No, two this year and 2 next year.
Okay, okay. So
So
this
usually
at-large
it's,
is for 1 year?
Is it four?
No,
years?
it's 3 year. And what happened is one of the ones that's expiring next year, as you know, Ted died and is no
Right,
longer in
right.
that.
So we're filling that, the rest of that term.
Right.
Gotcha.
So typically there are 3 people, terms expiring every year.
Okay.
Well, I think as you can hear, Erin, we really like you and we really like to figure out a way to have you join us. So that's, I think, one message that you can take away. I think I will take it on as an action item if the committee is agreeable. Do people feel we need a motion, or I'll take it as an action item and then we can put it on the agenda at our next meeting. Does that sound all right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we will be in touch and we will hope to find a way. We would love very much to have you join us. So.
Well, thank you. And let me say, I can appreciate the difficulty of rotating seats. And of course, I also appreciate the value of retaining experience on the committee. So please know, however it turns out, that I'm still here a year or 2 or whatever it may be. I'm not going anywhere.
I was going to say, you can still come to the meetings.
Yeah.
Yes. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
but hopefully it's going to be as a member. Maybe hopefully that works out.
Erin, thank you for your patience and understanding.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And you were, as I told you in email, you're welcome to stay, but please, you have no obligation. We have some other housekeeping business to do. It's nothing, we have no applications or anything very exciting tonight. So.
Okay. I might stay on for a few minutes.
Okay, as you like.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, sure. So, all right.
Kimberly, question.
Yes.
Do I want to ask the selectmen to put Mark and Anne Marie on before the end of this month to have a meeting?
I think that's a good idea if we can do that. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So put that down.
I just thought of a little, I don't know if you're, like I said, I missed the quorum parts. And if an issue is getting the statutory members reappointed to fit that quorum to vote.
We're not gonna, there's no way we'll be on for next week.
Okay. It just occurred to me, I haven't been reappointed to the Conservation Commission technically.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of in a double weird place.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Jack.
I'm halfway there. This upcoming planning board meeting, they will vote on whether they want to reappoint or renominate me or whatever.
Okay.
As their statutory member.
Okay. Good to know.
So I'm just hoping that you all, Lorene, you didn't know when your meeting would be?
I know they don't have any scheduled. Like I said, we usually schedule them with demolition permits. So I will ask them to call a online meeting if they can.
I believe Judy said that she has already been approved by the park department,
Yeah, I was just looking at
so
that.
she just has to
Yeah.
get sworn in. Um, and then at least one of you three has to get sworn in before the selectmen's meeting. And I mean, I can put it off until next Monday and positively, she's going to be, the agenda's pretty much done already for Monday night's meeting. Um, so we don't have to worry about that. At the earliest, we'll be on the 21st, but it'll probably be the 28th of June,
Okay.
for Mark and Anne Marie.
And just, so is it only the statutory members who are the ones who appoint with the select board, not the at-large?
I will have to go
I
with
thought
that.
I
that's,
think it was, each one was.
I
because I had to
believe
go to
that's what it
one meeting.
is.
okay.
For majority of the vote, joint meetings, statutory members of the Community Preservation and Board of Selectmen, yes.
And does
They
that mean all
appoint.
five need to be present? Because that would
No,
be, no,
no,
okay,
it just has to be a quorum of both, the
of the
Selectmen
five,
and CPC.
okay. Okay,
Okay,
I will check on that, all right. So next we I wanted to have a discussion about what we would like to have, if we are able to find future consultant help. I did get a call, thanks to Lorene, from Chris Skelly, who I believe currently or works at Mass Historic, and is that, pardon, or just recently left Mass Historic, is that right? Okay. And formerly worked closely with you when you were at the Rochester Historic Commission, is that correct?
He worked on a very big project that we had. They wanted to put a solar farm right next to our main central cemetery. And not only was it there, but it was also historic Native American land. It was a whole
Mm.
big deal. And it ended up the turtles won because it was also habitat.
Endangered species, uh-huh. So we had a conversation. He was just looking to see if this might be a career for him, a new career for him in doing this kind of work, the consultant work. And we didn't talk too much at length, but I said we really needed to have a conversation first about what we would even like to have. Do we want to have exactly, or would we ideally like to find exactly the kind of work we had with Jen, or would we something a little different? And or what would we if we put out a request for proposal on that?
Now, Jen was an all-around person. She wasn't just historical.
Correct.
She seemed to answer a multitude of questions. I don't know what his background is in other than historical.
Yeah, we would need to interview him if he was even but I think from my conversation with him, he was planning to have a conversation with Jen Galton, and he was hoping, to move into this field. So he would probably need to get up to speed on areas if he didn't have, experience in them already.
But it really seems that person, whoever they are, gave a lot to our committee by answering questions and smoothing out things. So I think that there really is a place for that, a person of that type.
Mm-hmm.
Kimberly.
Yes, go ahead, Joe.
I also received something in our mailbox at Town Hall from the Heritage Group.
Oh.
And it's Martin Dudek. I'm great with names, and he does work with community preservation committees. It's out of the company's out of Littleton. I'm not really sure where Littleton is.
Lowell.
About an hour and 20 minutes away.
Yeah, so it's a hike that I don't know how he got our name. He's just soliciting whatever, but I just wanted to let you know. The other thing is I have worked with Chris Skelly also on historic projects in the past, and yes, he was very knowledgeable. The majority of our, I was going to say, majority of our projects are historic, but lately they've been more open space.
Mhm.
So yeah, we do need somebody that's more all around.
Yeah,
I would, go ahead, Anne-Marie, go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say, I think I really appreciated her, CPC knowledge.
Yeah.
And I think that's, her overall knowledge of the law and everything that went along with it, I think is what I needed to hear from her the most.
We relied on her expertise a lot.
Yeah.
Agree. I think I think we had already begun to make a transition away from. I'm thinking it might have even been before some of you were on the committee, where we had the consultant. It wasn't always Jen. Sometimes there's somebody working with her who would be the person, who served as the liaison for all the projects. And I think that actually took a bit of time and was a bit expensive when I think some of us felt that it would, and that we could do that ourselves and should do it ourselves. People should be involved. So I think all of you taking on jobs as liaisons has sort of lightened it a little bit. But I think the thing that's so valuable is that memo when we get the step 1 and the step 2 that tells us, where the potential pitfalls are, whether something is eligible, possibly, probably, and what we need to be really focusing and asking about, because there's so many things about the statute that, I'm still learning too, all the time. So, it seems like that's really to me, the very most valuable part.
And where would you
Yeah.
advertise for somebody like that? Just to get a wider.
Did you ever ask Stuart?
Yes, I think that was Mark's action item. He did ask Stuart, and Stuart didn't have a suggestion. That's my recollection.
There have been a lot of people that have gone through his office in the past. I want to say her name was Kerry, that worked there when we were, the last time we were trying to get CPA through, and she was very helpful. I know she's not there, but I'm wondering if some of his past employees have stayed in the community preservation field and are working as consultants. I don't know if it would be a conflict for him to give out that information.
Okay.
Do we have a certain budget for a consultant, or is that just money we're finding? as we
Our
go?
We do.
budget for admin is 5%, but that includes everything. So it includes the coalition dues every year, which is about $17.50. It includes our secretary, and then the balance is the consultant. We do have to put it out to bid, and what we've done is not to exceed 50,000, because that's a procurement level over 3 years. And I'm just trying to project delivery. It's been about 15 to 20,000 a year for Jen.
We do have a few other expenses sometimes, little things like, like the printing of the plan or the nameplates,
Right,
or other
right.
things that we do have to spend money
Yep.
on sometimes. Yeah. So,
Okay, thank you.
well, we could, we could have someone on our committee call Martin Dudek, call back Chris Skelly, and just talk it over with them, see what their qualifications are, or what they're, if this is something they would even consider. We could put out a request.
We would have to do a request. If
Yeah.
we're spending more than $10,000, we have to.
Right. I guess, yes, I guess I feel like there's a question though, whether there are even good candidates out there, which
Do you know if Mark he had mentioned that he had like an initial group of towns, when he first started. Do you know if he has had an opportunity to reach out to those other towns and ask them?
We met with Bridgewater, West Bridgewater. Unfortunately, they were all the same towns that used Jen. And that's how we got involved. We had gone to one of the Bridgewater meetings and Jen was there. And then Mark, Ted, and I all just said, would you meet with us? And we met and convinced her to come to Middleborough also. But I think you're right. I think he was going to reach out to them.
Well, to see if they had found a replacement.
Right.
Also, right.
Yeah.
I don't recall if he said he had done that. So
Yeah, I don't either.
we're going to put that down and remind him, ask him. Yeah. Okay. So any thoughts about, do we want to do a little more exploration if there are people doing this work, or do we want to move forward with a request for proposal? Or anything else, any other way to proceed?
I feel like we need a little more exploration.
Okay. Anne Marie, would you maybe reach out to Mark and just ask him that question?
Sure. Yeah.
That'd be great. And let's see. I guess if I'll probably be talking to Stuart to ask for my other question. I can ask him also, but I think that we have asked him, that question, if he's heard of anybody doing this or has any former coalition employees who might consider it. And what about, do we want to respond to the Heritage Group, Martin Dudek? And just
I can do that.
Exploratory call.
I
maybe.
will send everybody also the RFP I did in 2018 to hire Jen. I also did it in 15, basically the same thing. And if you want to review it and see if there's anything we should add or subtract.
Or take away, yeah. Okay.
Because I have a master's degree in community planning. We should probably add, 10 years experience in community preservation planning. Anyhow, I'll send it to everybody
Okay.
and review it.
We have an idea of what we're looking for.
Any other thoughts on what any of you could do or outreach, the ways we might explore further? Or
Did you want to call to Chris Skelly to see what he's doing, or maybe he's got another job? We don't know.
sure, you want to call Chris again and just see, yes, that was a great idea to find out, how's he thinking about it? Is this something he's going into now? Or yeah.
I was just Googling while we were talking different committees around the area just to see their numbers and see some of the bigger towns. And I didn't find anything good that way, but there are easy email addresses, so I can email a couple of the committees and see if they use a consultant and who that would be. So.
Great, thank you. That'd be great. Okay, I think that when we do some looking around and then come back and talk about it again. So moving on to old business, project updates. So a lot of our projects have, let's see, we have how many do we have right now? We have like 3 or 4, and I think some of our liaisons are not here but
I can give you a ball field update because Fran sent me one.
Okay, great, go for it.
Okay, the biggest thing is everything is on hold because they have to go through a stormwater plan. I don't know what that is. He said Tricia told him he had to do it. So everything's on hold until that's done. They have submitted, I think, 11 invoices for $100 for the clearing of the trees, and then they're shredded, made into mulch, something like that. So he will not be spending any more money. We also have the end of the town's fiscal year, June 30th. So he told me that he won't be spending any more money before the end of the year, end of the fiscal year. then his plan is to put the wood pole fences, stones along Wood Street. He has all that material already, but again, he has to get approval by Concom before he can really do anything else.
Nancy, did you want to add anything?
I wanted to ask, did he give you the drawing that Judy said there was of the field?
I didn't receive it. No, he just gave me an email.
Okay.
That's right, he did. We did ask for something more.
Okay. Anything about this storm water plan or the things that are pending before the Conservation Commission?
It's Stormwater Committee is like a joint thing. It's not really and I
Okay.
don't understand it perfectly, but it's a joint boards, several, like DPW, Conservation, they look at different projects in more of an overall viewpoint to check the stormwater drainage and such. So it doesn't really come before Conservation because he's not in a wetland, but it'll come before the stormwater.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. And Anne Marie, how about the trees?
The trees are all planted and I think we're voting to pay the bill today.
Yes.
We are.
Yeah.
I think, let me just pull that up. I think there's 626 left, but I was looking to see if maybe he needed mulch, but it had mulch included. It had, everything. I couldn't think of anything else. So my guess is there's going to be $626 turned back to open space.
Okay.
But we shouldn't probably do, just because of the end of the fiscal year, we should probably vote to do that now so it doesn't transfer over to the town's next fiscal year.
Do you know, Anne Marie, if he anticipates anything else?
Nope, he said everything was completed. I mean, they did have
Oh, he
to
did good.
stake one tree, if that was planted in the fall, but even if something like that came up, I think that's kind of included in what was already spent.
Okay.
Something that Splains would take care of, so.
I meant to drive by and I forgot. I did see the first two planted, but yeah.
Why don't we vote to return the money to open space, or I think it came from open space, probably did, wherever it was originally funded from, contingent on Anne Marie talking to George to ensure there's no other invoices. So then we'll clear up everything for the end of the fiscal year. Does that sound okay?
Does that make sense to you, Anne Marie?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Move.
Okay. Do we have a second? Okay, we have a motion to close the Titicut Green tree account pending confirmation with the applicant that the project is completed and there will be no more invoices. So any further discussion on the motion? Okay.
Seconded that?
Yes, go ahead.
Who seconded that?
I did.
Anne Marie.
Anne Marie, thank you.
And Anne Marie, okay.
I was gonna put my hand up, but I don't know.
Can't see
I'd be
you.
looking at something more beautiful than me.
Okay, so there's no more discussion. I will call the roll for a vote. Joe Ruthwitz,
Aye.
Jack Healy,
Aye.
Maureen Garrier,
Aye.
Nancy Ockers,
Aye.
Anne Marie Jacobson,
Aye.
and I'm Kimberly French. I vote aye also. Great. Well, I'm so glad that project is done. That's wonderful. And the other two were Mark is the liaison. You have those two, Joe?
I have, yes, I do, sorry.
You don't need to be sorry.
Police building, the old police building, the town has approved a contract for $104,000 to replace those windows. And what was that? That was 110? It's here someplace. Yeah, 110. So the contract is for 104. They haven't started yet. That was just approved last week. They haven't signed the contract. And Oliver House, we've had a lot of bug issues, carpenter ants, termites, I think there was something else. So they had to do a lot of pest removal before they could do more work. We do have about $24,000 worth of invoices here. And Matt said there is a little bit of remaining work. We have a balance left of $2,055, and he thinks there's of the original contract, there's about 2,400, I think he said, of work needed, and the balance he said will come out of town funds after we use up all the CPA funds. So they do anticipate that being closed out soon. And the last project is the Housing Authority project is out to bid. Obviously, we can't sign any contracts till after July 1. The bids are due July 9. So we'll be in next fiscal year before we do that work. But it was approved at town meeting, got the specs done, and just want to get moving on it.
Great. Great, that sounds good. So, okay, I think those are, so, I always get the fiscal years mixed up. You were just talking about the one that was just approved for
Yes,
FY, so that's actually a different fiscal year, right? From the
that's, yeah, FY22, so it can't be done until after July 1.
So the other four were all FY21 projects.
Yes.
And we just voted to close one of those, so.
Correct.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And I'm not sure if we've talked about it. We have to do the grant agreements for everybody for the FY22.
Yes, I was gonna bring that up. I mean, we can talk about that now since we're kind of on the subject of liaisons and projects. I don't have, maybe I do have it in front of me. Oh goodness, my dog's barking. So I write it down here. So the liaisons for, well, first of all, let me just say, I don't think we've met since town meeting, right? So and I'm not sure.
Right. Yeah, we haven't.
And I believe Jack was there. I'm not sure anybody else was there from our committee, right? But everything passed, and there was no discussion. We did get only one question, which actually was a conservation question about the environmental monitoring on Oliver Mill Park and what was involved. And so I actually had to turn that question over to Trisha to answer but everything passed with, unanimously. So that was really great. And so now the votes should be certified, and it is time to draw up our grant agreements. And I just want to review, I think I can kind of remember who said they would be liaisons for what, but why don't you just volunteer and tell me who's a liaison for?
I have the list if
You have the
want
list.
it.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay,
Go.
obviously the Housing Authority roofs, that's me.
Okay.
Gravestones, Nancy, the Nemasket Hill Cemetery, Lorene, Oliver House, and Oliver Mill Park are Mark.
Okay.
And Mark also has the police station, and Judy has the ballparks.
Okay.
The others are pretty much done.
Okay. So we have some boilerplate for these grant agreements. Two different categories. One is for town-owned projects. One is for private projects. So the two cemetery projects are the private ones. And so I can send you the boilerplate, and I just say, fill it in, and it will be your responsibility as the liaison to get it signed. And, I think it'll be obvious once you get it to see what you need to do. And if you would like me or Joe or, other committee members to review it before you go forward, that's fine. We can absolutely do that. So, okay. So I can send those out. Let's see. And CPA application working group update, which I believe is Anne Marie and Judy.
Yep, so we haven't had a chance to meet. We've just communicated. We're hoping to meet next week. And we're both kind of on the same page of what we want to see and making things much simpler and concise. And like I said to you, Kimberly, that reviewing the things that we already have, we have so much that I don't think we're following things ourselves. And there's a lot of good stuff, and there's things that we've talked about, and there's things that Stuart talked about when he came to talk to us about different things involving the application process that we have in place. We just haven't been doing so much. So I think just a lot of cleaning up and simplifying, and we both want to make sure that, I think it was Mark who said, like, the projects may be eligible, but that doesn't mean we want to do them. And so I think just kind of making the statement like, well, how does this impact, how does this fall into our mission statement, and what's the 5-year plan has. And so just, kind of adding a little bit of things like that, simplifying, making things easier to look at, and even maybe kind of like a checklist format where if it's, if you need more information though, you can go here to find it. I think would be easier, but we're hoping to get together next week.
That sounds great. And you had said you were hoping to have like a draft by July 15th. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I'd love to, I don't know what our meetings will be for the summer. I'd love to get something out to everybody so we could, even if it's just individuals getting back to us, could have some input, and hoping that we could use the new process come September, that everything would be ready to go.
That'd be
and
great.
Everybody would be happy with it. So yeah, that's the plan.
Great.
But
good.
Sorry, we also just wanted, I know you gave us some great input. I just wanted to know if anybody else had anything that they'd like to see on it, that they think is too complicated on it, or if, any input tonight from anybody, if anybody had any response or any hopes.
I was looking at some of the applications that Stuart sent us,
Mhm.
or he told us to look on his website,
Yeah,
and some of them really looked simpler and
Yeah.
maybe easier. I believe when we originally did it, we took a lot from Dartmouth, and there weren't that many towns back then that had CPA, so there are a lot more,
right.
10 years later. So I think it's a great time to do it.
Yeah, if you go to the website, I think it was Concord that I thought was pretty straightforward. And I know that, and it wasn't on the website, so I'm not exactly sure where Judy found it, but she said Westford she liked. So those are two that people might want to take a look at and see what you think.
Great.
But I think we have a lot of good stuff. Like, I think it's all there. We just need to sort through it a little bit.
Do we have any idea of who maybe, other than the Housing Authority, submitting an application?
I did hear from Randy Gagne at the library about a potential project. I also heard from Diane Stewart about the Disability Commission, but I'm pretty sure it's for a plan that they have to submit regularly. I don't think it would be something that would be eligible. I said, you can submit and see if it's eligible. I don't think it sounds like it sounds like it's something that you as a town appointed commission are required to do regularly, and that is not something we can usually do, but we could explore it if you want to. So I'm actually going to talk to her next week. I think she was going to look for some other funding. So I think those are the only two I've heard from.
There's a conservation commission member who's looking into putting in a bridge, actually to replace a damaged culvert along the ADA trail. So I
Oh.
don't know if that's going to follow through to that, but it's an interesting idea. And I was
Oh,
going to ask
go
Emery
ahead.
too, just to, I don't know if there's a way to do this, but it would be interesting to hear feedback from people who have applied as far as
Yeah,
the
you're right.
application
Yep.
project.
Mm.
What was hard, what was impossible, what was great.
Yep, yep,
How to do it, but
that's a good idea. I'll reach out to some of our project people.
That's good. Yeah, very good idea.
Any,
I
open
also,
space-
oh, go ahead.
any open space pieces of land that you've heard?
Well,
coming up?
from Nancy.
just the most discussion has been about the one that got away that we can't possibly get on Route 28.
Yeah.
That's the hard one.
Yeah.
So
But
I
the
did
other
hear
one,
from,
the one on Plymouth Street, is that moving forward? Do you know?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
there's a site visit coming up too, so yeah. That I have not heard from Mike, first name starts with P, long last name, who is the head of the skate park committee. But he, I mean, I did hear from him after our plan came out, and we did have a conversation earlier this year, and I don't know if he's going to be ready this year. He may not, maybe another year, but that's something that's also kind of hanging out there. So, okay. And then website update. I know Mark has done a little bit of work on it.
Yeah, if you've had a chance to go back to the website, I have had no part of it except to have him ask me what I thought of it, and I thought, wow, this is exactly what I was hoping to see when I said how bad it looked.
Okay.
The website, he's got 2 pages that are a previous and a last back and forth. One that shows how the project is going to go. It's the Nemaska Hill one. He wants to have a picture and a blurb, and also how the money was, how step 1 and step 2 are worded, so somebody can look and see exactly what they were asking for and what they're doing. So that's how he hopes to do all of them, I believe, all the projects coming up. And then he came up with the one that was the application for the committee at large member. So that was also put out there publicly on our website. And
Right.
that looked very good. It gave you the duties and all that sort of stuff. So he's been working. I've been saying, that looks good. So
Great. I put on here other updates in case there was anything we needed to discuss. I think there was one thing I wanted to mention is that I have still a box of community preservation plans here. So if you would like printed copies for your commissions or anybody else, we can work that out. I did put some individual copies in the mailbox at the town hall, and with some names on it. When I was there a couple days ago, there were still a couple there. But just let me know I'd love to get them in people's hands. It's also, I think, good to have them for applicants and other things as we go along during the 5 years. But of course, if we really had huge demand, we could always print a few more. So so just let me know, and I'd be happy to. Yeah.
so professional, makes us look good.
I'm glad you. Yeah. I'm very pleased with how it came out. Yeah. Very happy.
Can I pick up half a dozen copies for the share with the planning board from you?
Sure, of course. I should have given them to you when you came by the other day. Would you? How would you like? How would you? Well, you and I can talk. We'll talk and figure out a way to either I can put them in the town hall or we'll connect up.
No, we can work it out. I think
Okay.
I know where you live.
Yes, I know where you live too, so we'll work it out. Okay. And when I went around, I guess I don't know when it was, late April, and took them. I parked and took them around to all the town buildings and gave them to people. And I had a conversation with Janice Ackerstrom, our economic development director, and she was not able to come to our hearing in March. And she's really busy. And she said, like Leanne Bradley, who wasn't able to make it, she would very much love to come to one of our meetings and just have that kind of conversation. So she wasn't able to come tonight, but it's just something, I think she says has a standing non-work Wednesday night commitment and through the summer, but she said maybe in the fall she could come. So Just wanted to mention that to everyone. And so those are my updates. Are there any other conversations people have had? Yeah, go ahead.
I have the financial updates. Let's start with the revenue. Let me go to my spreadsheet. So I got from the town accountant some of the FY 20 and 21 revenue he's received. So the total as of right now that we have received from state and town is 3,273,292. Not bad.
Can you say that again, please?
3,273,292.
Thank you.
Expenses all match to date. The balances, wait a minute, I have to find the right page. The housing and historic balance to the penny, there's zero as of the end of this fiscal year in historic, and there's 79,092 in housing. Open space is off by $150. I'm not really sure what it is, but he has $308.65, $308.65. And that's, it's only off a little bit. I'll work on that. I just got it today. And
What, you have less than that
yes,
or
I
more? You have less than, okay.
I have
150-ish.
140.61
Okay.
is what I have.
Huh.
And the fund balance, the reserves is 652,089. In adding in FY 22's money, we anticipate having $1,144,000 available
Okay.
for projects for next year.
In the reserve balance.
All together.
Altogether, okay.
Altogether. Do you want me to break it? So historic will have 44,000, housing will have 123,000, open space 44,000, and the reserve 932.
Okay. Great.
And the only other thing I have is everybody has to get any invoices in before the end of the fiscal year, which the town accountant gives you until the second week. So July 13th, all FY 21 invoices have to be submitted. So they have to come to us first. I prepare the paperwork, get it to the town, and if we meet afterwards, we'll just reaffirm them at the next meeting. There shouldn't be much left for this fiscal year.
So there's one other thing I wanted to ask you, but I forget what it was. Any other updates for anyone has? Okay. So I think the next thing is accounts payable.
Okay, nice long list. Oliver Estate FY 21, Burgess Pest Management 2,245. There were 3 invoices, 550, 1,500, and 195. Titicate Green Trees FY 21, 1,710 to Spillane's Nursery. FY 21 admin, Katie Metz. This is for the capital plan. No, community preservation plan, 12330.
She's the graphic designer.
Delaney for minutes, FY 21 admin, 15458. So these are minutes from December, February, and March. And those are all new invoices. And no, I have one more. Wait a minute. Kimberly's is a reimbursement for the printing of the community preservation plan and mailing it to the coalition and the consultant. So that was $574.20. So these are all new invoices, and I think those should be voted separately. And then the ones that we have to reaffirm probably
Okay.
are separate.
Do I have a motion to approve the new invoices?
So moved.
So a second.
Second, Nancy.
Jack Healy moved and Nancy second. Okay. Any discussion? And I will call the roll. Starting with Joe Ruthwitz,
Aye.
Jack Healy,
Aye.
Maureen Garrier,
Aye.
Nancy Ockers,
Aye.
Anne Marie Jacobson. You're muted, but I saw you say aye.
Sorry. Aye.
Kimberly French, aye. And so the motion passes. Okay, so how about the
Uh,
invoices that need to be reaffirmed?
um,
These are invoices that came in, and according to our policy, an officer can sign if they need to be paid more quickly, right? So,
Yep.
In a timely fashion. Yeah.
right. Mhm.
So we have 7 invoices, well, actually more, from the park department, from the ballpark for $100 each. These were from November through March. So a total of 700 to BLK Forest products, and they turn the mainly pine trees into mulch. And then there were some more. So they were submitted to the town in April 16th. 4 more that were submitted to the town May 18th, and they were March and April's. And the last one is Oliver Estate FY21 for full scope contracting. They're the main contractor for the project in the amount of $22,800.
Move approval of payment.
Thank you. As a second,
Second.
Anne Marie seconds. Any discussion on the motion?
What was the second park department one, the other 2 months? Were those hundreds also?
They were 400. The first one was a group of 7 for 700,
Yeah.
$100 each. The second group was 400 for at 100.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Okay, I will call the roll. Joe Ruthwitz,
Aye.
Jack Healy,
Aye.
Maureen Garrier,
Aye.
Nancy Ockers,
Aye.
Anne Marie Jacobson,
Aye.
and I'm Kimberly French. I vote aye also, and the motion passes. Okay. So all that's next to schedule our next meeting. I will say, I haven't checked in maybe a week or so, but on the Attorney General's website, so we are still allowed to have Zoom meetings up to June 15th. There is legislation pending that would extend it to September. We could, and other town committees have already begun meeting in person, which we could do also. So the question I think is though, when do we want to schedule? Well, there's a couple questions. One is that we, I haven't checked on this. I don't know if anyone knows offhand when our town meeting warrant articles due for October. Usually it's sometime in August,
Yeah, it's usually in August.
but I don't know the date. We may not know it. It may not be set yet.
Right.
Okay.
We usually just put a placeholder there for a bunch of articles,
Okay.
and it's not. Yeah,
So we have a conservation project that we want to get a step 2 on, and I've been in touch with the conservation agent. She knows that we haven't set a date on it, but I'm thinking, I don't know if it's too soon for her, the second Wednesday in July, but that might be. We could schedule that and see if that works, because I would like to schedule a meeting if possible to coincide with that, that step 2 coming in. And I guess another question maybe, Anne Marie, if you're thinking, I haven't looked at the calendar, but July 15th for the application, that might be another agenda item we'd want to have on that same meeting.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So any thoughts, Nancy? Do you have any idea whether?
No, I just know she's trying to coordinate that site visit, and I'm sure she's waiting for that to
Yep.
get coordinated information. And it sounded like it would happen before then, but I haven't heard a date.
So I did get the doodle poll on that. It's the 14th to the 18th is when it should be sometime. So yeah, let's see here. So the second Wednesday is the 14th. Is that, should we schedule our meeting then?
Sure.
Pending any changes in terms of, what with this step 2, we can check on that. Would you mind just checking on that, Nancy, and see and mention to Tricia that's the date we're looking at? That would be great. Thanks. And Anne Marie, what do you think? Would the 14th be? Can we move you up one day on your deadline?
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Great. All right. Let's plan on that then. July 14th, 7 p.m. And as far as Zoom, I know I heard from one member who's not here who doesn't want to do Zoom anymore. Do other people, if it's extended, do you have a preference?
So I'd love to meet in person. I'm just wondering if attendance during the summer would be better if it was Zoom. I'm fine to meet in person July 14th, but I don't know if people go other places during the summer.
I think conservation is hoping to do a hybrid for just that reason, to be in person, but I'll still allow for Zoom attendance just for flexibility for the next few months. A little bit hard, tricky to do, but.
Why don't
My
we continue?
understanding for the hybrid is you have to have the chair and a quorum in person, and then everybody else can be hybrid. And depending on where we're going to meet, are we going to meet here, or are we going to meet at the Selectmen's meeting room? I don't know how it's set up.
You can go
The
back to
Housing
green
Authority
school.
Board has not approved anybody coming into our community building yet. We do meet next week, so we follow different rules because of the elderly population here. It's more nursing home rules, so I haven't got any directive from the state. We have a meeting next Wednesday at noon with the state, so I don't know at this point that we could meet in person at the Housing Authority.
I could check with Colleen and see if the selectmen's room is available that date. And as you said, Nancy, the green school would be another option. So okay. So any other thoughts on that, Zoom or meet in person? Okay. Well, I'll explore that, and we'll see if we have a place we can go. And
What's the matter with the green school?
nothing.
Nothing that we know of.
Okay.
We can meet there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't know what shape it's in. I'm not sure.
That is a good question.
I know that the borough butts pretty much almost entirely moved out. There's maybe 1 or 2 pieces of equipment there, but all of their stuff is at Center Street. So
Has anyone cleaned it though?
don't know about that.
Yeah.
Historic has not been there for a year and a half, year and 3/4. So
Right.
don't know.
It's a good question to know. Yeah. So,
Well, obviously it's a resource that's available and we've used to a good advantage. If nobody's cleaning it or taking care of it, then maybe Kimberly, you can talk to the town manager about that.
I will ask Colleen about both the selectmen's room and the green school and what the situation is. Yeah. I can do that. So we'll plan on Wednesday, July 14th, 7 p.m. and is our next meeting. And Erin, thank you again for coming and hanging in with us, and we'll be in touch with you and let you know what we find out.
Thank you. And thank you to all of you for the work that you do for the community. It's very impressive.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ann.
Thanks. Okay. Thanks all.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
We have to adjourn.
Aye.
No, no.
Oh,
make a
right.
motion
that's
to adjourn.
Oh, right. I forgot that part. Thank you. Who seconds that?
Second.
Okay, we have to do a roll call vote. Then we'll
Okay.
okay, sorry about that. Roll call one more time. So Joe Ruthwitz
Aye.
and Jack Healy,
Aye.
Laureen Garrier,
Aye.
Nancy Ockers,
Aye.
Anne Marie Jacobson,
Aye.
and I'm Kimberly French. I vote aye too. So great.
Now
Great to
we can
see
do
you,
them all.
Delaney.